So I'm about to start the process for the last two pieces of Lauren's facial prosthetics, and I'm going to do a little hydrocal pour into the silicone mold of Lauren's face, and to make the upper lip, which will not really attach to any of the other prosthetics I've designed, like the nose and the forehead and the cheeks. So I'll take a hydrocal cast of her upper lip to start making her little upper lip appliance, and then I'll do a hydrocal of the lower lip and chin. But I'll have to build in the for the lower lip. I'm going to have to build in the prosthetic chin and the nasolabial folds a little. So you'll see that. But here we go with the upper lip. So this is the hydrocal. Just some people brush it in, but for this little piece, I'm not going to get too crazy with picking up all the detail. But carefully laying this hydrocal into the silicone mold. And you want to get some of the lower lip, just in case when I'm finishing up this upper lip piece, the sculpture, just to kind of see her lower lip in it. See how it's going to line up with the lower lip as well. Okay, I think that's more than enough for the upper lip. So we'll leave it there, let it set, and then I'll pop it out. Okay, it's been about 20 minutes. I'm going to see if I can pop this hydrocal out of here. And carefully. Okay. And there's the upper lip. Looks really good. And ready to make the positive, which I'll show you how to do next, this little positive mold. Okay, so now I'm going to make the hydrocal cast for the to make the lower lip appliance. Here goes the hydrocal. Make sure to really get it in that lower lip. Get as much detail as we can as possible without trapping any air bubbles in there. Now this mold's going to be a little different from the upper lip, because this lower lip piece is going to have to be built to overlap the chin that we've already made. The syntactic mold. So I'll show you what the next step is, so that we can make this lower lip blend onto the chin prosthetic that we've already made. So I'll need a little bit more of the surface here. Maybe go onto the neck a little bit down here. Maybe get a little more of the upper lip here. Yeah, I'll need more of that. pressed in here. Don't think I need that much of the neck. Okay, and wait for that to set up. Okay guys, I'm going to pop this hydrocal out of here, of the chin and the lower lip area. And there it is. So now I'm going to go ahead and make a silicone piece that I can stick on here for the chin and maybe a little bit of the jowls. You'll see that step next. Spraying a little epoxy par film in here as a separator for the mold. You don't need very much. This will help the body double silicone that I'm going to pour into the neck mold and the chin mold pop out a little easier. And I'm not going to pour in that much body double because all I need is the prosthetic in the chin and a little bit on the neck and the jowls. I might not even need that much. I just really need the lower lip. Just for the lower lip, I just need the chin piece, basically. And maybe a little bit of the nasolabial folds right in that area. Okay, so this body double, this is a little piece of it that was on the table when I mixed it, is set. So now we're going to pop the top on this bad boy and see. I'll pull the piece out. Okay, let's pop the top. There we go. Oh, it looks pretty good. More than enough of what I needed to make the lower lip piece here. And we'll just get that into position in a second. But that's basically where that piece is going to land. You can strap these, but this is just a wee bit faster. So we'll let that squash down, then we'll pull our piece out. So I guess now is a good time to show you why we build this little ledge here, you know, where the core mold is a little higher than the negative mold. So you can see the handles that are built in here, these fiberglass handles that you can actually get your hand in. But another reason for these is, I'll show you, we put these here. Now I've poured body double silicone in the mold to get a little chin piece out that I'll need for the lower lip. So, but I just wanted to show you why these handles are here. You can hear the mold just kind of release. And there you can see the silicone piece in the mold. And that's why we built that little edge. So you can get the mold apart and break the suction of the silicone in the mold. And here's the silicone piece, the body double silicone piece that we pulled out of the negative on the positive on its core. And now we're ready to make the lower lip piece on the next mold that will kind of overlap this piece onto the chin. So I've taken the hydrocal pores out of the silicone, and now I'm prepping these for making the little cylinder molds out of TC1630. But first, before I do that, I'm just prepping this hydrocal. This will be the lower lip piece, and I'll build the prosthetic chin into this mold. You'll see this in the next step. But right now, the first step for the hydrocal correction is to eliminate on this hydrocal anything I don't need that pertains to this lower lip sculpture that I'll put on here. Oop. Which will ultimately wind up on this lip will ultimately wind up on the TC1630 mold. That's the clay sculpture. So I'm eliminating anything that I don't need that will, help the silicone eventually just find its way off the edge of the prosthetic. And so what I've done is I've taken this scalpel, and you could see from here I actually carved away the upper lip, and I don't know if you can see that from the side, but I've taken all this away. Areas of the positive that I just don't need. And I did the same on the upper lip taken away all this, and the nose, kind of rounded this off and taken away the nostrils and the nose tip and the bigger area, which will make the mold smaller because I don't need this big, massive area for just a piece that will be here. I sculpted a little mustache on here just to give me an aesthetic look for the overall sculpture that I did on her life cast. So I'll take this mustache off, and maybe I'll do that now. Just cut this away. There we go. So you can see how tiny the sculpture is going to wind up being, and I'll finish the edge, which you'll see. But I just wanted to show you these hydrocal corrections, and we'll go into the next step. So now I'm going to get ready to mount this silicone chin onto this the positive hydrocal. So what I'm going to do is I'll take this off. This is the silicone body double that we poured into the mold. And that's the chin, we got a little bit of the nasolabial folds, which is good. And now I will just kind of fit this in over the hydrocal, just to take a look at it. And this will all get cut away, and you can see that it fits pretty good on the hydrocal, right in the chin area here, because that's where we're going to glue this piece onto the hydrocal, and then I will sculpt the lip to fit right into all these wrinkles onto the silicone lower lip and chin prosthetic. And I will cut all this away, of course, that I don't need, and just probably keep a piece of the chin and the which under her lower lip here. And but I just wanted to give you a sense of where we're going with the next step. So I'm going to begin to cut away what I don't need here. We don't need all this. Now we're getting down to the nitty-gritty here. There we go. And I'll even cut even more of this away and down here. I don't need all that. So let me do that. Little by little, you want to go in increments. There we go. Yeah. I'll probably trim a little bit of that away, a little bit more of this excess. And yeah, just let me, actually I'll do it right on here. There we go. That's it. Okay. And now I'll glue this down onto the hydrocal with a little bit of crazy glue. So I went ahead and trimmed a little bit more of the silicone away, and just a little trick I should show you is I trimmed it back far enough so I could still see Lauren's true chin here, and just to see how the silicone seats all the way around, so that I know that I'm getting a true fitting right onto Lauren's chin. So I cut all this away, and just to see how that really rests onto Lauren's own skin. That way I know that this whole chin is really seated in exactly the right spot before I crazy glue it. So now I'll just I'll do a little crazy glue here. Okay, so now I'm going to glue it in place, and what I'll do is I'll roll it back like I would do a prosthetic, and just lock it in. Not go up to the edge really, just kind of get it seated in the right spot. And let that dry a little bit, and then come around here on the other side, roll it back, holding it in place, and just spot weld it into place and let it seat back down where it's supposed to go. There we go. And now I'll probably take a little brush and brush right under the thin edges here with a little crazy glue, and make sure that it's really down, because when we pour the silicone to make the mold, we don't want any of that silicone to slip under this prosthetic. It has to be completely down and sealed onto the hydrocal cast. So one thing I wanted to point out on this mold is that I'm starting to prepare it for the final silicone pour to cast this positive of the lower lip, and I'm pitching it. I'm making sure that it's not tilted too far this way or that way, because when you take the mold apart, I want this lip to draw straight up when it's a two-piece mold. And so I'm making sure that this mold didn't tip too far this way or this way, that it's completely vertical, and that it can separate perfectly, so that we don't break anything on this lower lip that we want to make the prosthetic fit. So that it just draws straight up and down vertically with no pitch this way or that way. And I'll show you for the upper lip appliance, the same basic pitch of the mold. I'm not going to mold it like this way too much. I'm going to tilt it more so that, or this way in the mold. I want it to be as flat as possible so that it draws straight up. I actually might pitch this a little bit that way so that it draws, because you have this curl right here. You don't want anything to catch in this actual curve of the upper lip. So I actually might pitch that a little bit, not in this direction, but a little bit in this direction, so it draws straight up nice and clean. So I'm working on the upper lip now, and I drew a little pencil line here. You can see that's where the lip kind of rolls under into the mouth here, and I don't need my prosthetic to go all the way down. And it's a very wet surface when you get inside, toward the inside of the upper lip into the mouth. So you really don't want the appliance to get under there. That's the problem we had with the Joker makeup on Heath. was that the edge of the appliance that they made went a little into the wet area of the lips, the lower lip, and hence he would lick his lips, and he made it work for the character, so it's amazing. But anyway, the appliance will probably end just before this pencil line, and so I'll take some clay and just fill with clay up to that line to block out the undercut of the curl of that lip. Here's the finished positive and how I clayed out, and put the keys on it, and that's ready to go. And then here's the other one, same thing but with a rubber wall around it, and I leave a little space around the edge there. You'll see what that is for. And now we'll pour our silicone in there, make our silicone mold. Now I'm pouring this blue silicone up pretty high, and just to kind of hopefully work out some of the air bubbles that I've mixed into this mix, and hopefully this will fill. If not, I'll mix another little batch and pour a little more in here. But I think I'm gonna make it. And I've separated this with the epoxy par film, and I also crystal cleared it. And that's about it. Maybe a little bit more. Scrape some of this out. that was 1,000 grams of material, 1,000 at the base and 100 of the part B. So I'll mix about another 200 grams just to play it safe, and that'll do it. Here comes the other 200 grams. That should more than fill it. Definitely filled it. Okay, now we'll let it sit for like 8 hours or so. It's a little warm in here today, so it might kick and set up a little bit faster. But that's it. Move on to the other mold. Okay, so I jumped the gun a little bit here, and I pulled this out of this mold here that we poured. This came out, the hydrocal of Lauren's chin, and the piece, that little chin piece. So there's that silicone. Mold came out really good, all the detail in there. And I did this, the second mold of her upper lip. I made a little platform, plaster of Paris bandage platform. Now I'll take this out. And there's the silicone. And the next step is, that seats right in the jacket. The next step is to pour our TC1630 to make our positives. So I've mixed these TC1630s, the part A and the part B, and I mixed these bad boys. They've been sitting on the shelf for a few months, and anyone could tell you the stuff that settles in the bottom of these buckets, oh boy, I got forearms like Popeye right now mixing these. But I had the help of this mixer, and I'll just show you what the aftermath of mixing these two buckets looks like. So we'll pan down here, and there it is. Oh boy, I'm glad that's over. So I'm preparing these for pouring of the TC1630 into these silicones. And what I like to do is I like to level this mold just to make sure that when I pour it, you know, it really fills evenly all the way around. It's a nice flat surface. You know, you don't get an uneven pour. And this one, I put a little clay under here just to lift this side and get it level. And now I'll do the same over here with this mold. Maybe just a little bit of clay right under here. Let's try it right here. So I just jammed a little bit of clay on this side, and you can see that it's level, and we're ready to pour. Just a little epoxy parfum in here. So mix in the TC1630. scraping the sides and making sure it's well mixed in here. That seems pretty good. I'll pour a little bit in. Kind of brush it around a little bit. Especially where the detail is. And now it's getting pretty viscous right now, kind of firming up a little here. Now I'll just pour the rest. Nice and easy. Okay, let's pop the top, see what's up here. Oh, that's lovely. And there is the TC 1630 positive for the upper lip. Mixing the TC 1630 for the big mold. All right, Murphy, you get him. There's my Murphy back there, barking. Protecting the house, protecting the shop. Okay, so again, we'll pour a little bit in. Just brush in that surface. Looking good. And now we'll go for the pour. I did about 1,000 grams here for this bigger mold, and it should be more than enough, which it will be. That's it. Let it set. Take this out in about an hour or so. Very good. Looks good. Ready to sculpt now. The lower lip. Okay, so now I've put the lip on the mold, and now I'm beginning to just pin it down with some clay onto the TC1630 positive. This is the lower lip that's going to blend onto the prosthetic chin that's built into the mold, and there's the upper lip that I've taken off the life cast, and it's here, and I'm just pinning it down with a little bit of clay. And now I'll begin the final modeling on the upper lip and the lower lip. So I'm detailing the upper lip here, and I'm thinking about this character. He's kind of a lounge lizard at 70-ish, and a smoker guy, little nightclub, bloated old guy, blubbery old guy, and a cigarette smoker. So being an ex-cigarette smoker myself, I'm just kind of imagining this guy sucked on a lot of cigarettes on this upper lip. So I'm carving in all these little wrinkles and little lines, and detailing into the lower lip here all these little lip lines that will go into into the roll, the inside, not quite the inside of the upper lip here, and I'll scratch in a couple of more here. Let me move the light a little over this way, get a better shadow. Maybe yeah, in here. Maybe do a few more vertical lines in here. And you don't want you want to let your hand go a little bit. Don't think too much. Just I'll leave that little blob of clay right there, as you can see. Just these little lines of texture. Through here. And then it looks kind of like an old rhinoceros hide here, but then I'll get these in. I'm not going to spend too much time here because most of this will be under a mustache, so I'm not going to get too crazy here, but we'll see it, when we put on the makeup, so we want it to look its best anyway. So, okay, then I'll take alcohol and a brush, and I'll start smoothing this out. Okay, now I'm going to smooth it out a little bit. just kind of takes the edge off those wrinkles. And might leave them slightly exaggerated. And I think it's ready for a little texture. And yeah, little texture now. So here I'm beginning to work on the lower lip, and you know, blending the sculpture onto the chin prosthetic that's built into this TC1630 mold. And take my little tiny sculpting tool here, and start working on these lines in here that blend into the chin, right into these wrinkles into the chin prosthetic. Trying to follow these lines and working and carving the wrinkles into the lower lip. The same rules apply as I showed in the upper lip to you know, get that smoker's, you know, wrinkles, like these lines, these vertical lines in here. I'll carve a few in, get them started. Vertical and some horizontal ones to just kind of break it up a little. And there you go. You can kind of see the flow of the wrinkles from the lip prosthetic into the chin prosthetic in here. And I will, yeah, finish these wrinkles up into the lip and inside the lower lip in here. And this is pretty much on its way. So there it is, you know, just checking all the details on the sculpture and the upper lip and under the nice light here. And everything seems to be in the right direction here, so that looks pretty good. Yeah, very good. Okay, just a second pass here on the, or take two, on the lower lip sculpture, and yeah, I think that looks pretty good. All the flow into the lower lip and chin here, and nicely around the upper lip there. Just checking out the lower lip here. I smooth out the sculpture. And now I'll throw in a little bit of there, it's better in focus there. Yeah, now I'll just throw in little skin textures. So I've textured the lower lip, put in these little skin textures with a little tiny tool. Just kind of carve them in like so. And now I'm doing the overflow and the cutting edge with this white clay. And just laying this very thin right in here. Close to the lip line as I can possibly push it. Make it nice and smooth here. take my little tool here and I'll actually, I don't know if you can see that, but I'll actually just make my little cutting edge. Just knock the edge down a little bit. And I'll continue all the way around and finish out the white clay. You'll see in a sec. Oh, and the lip is this way, actually. If you want to look at it. Yeah, like that. So I've got the overflow and the cutting edge around the lower lip sculpture here, and I just wanted to show you this mold. It's completed, ready for casting. And wanted to show you this before the rubber wall goes around it. That is it. And you can see the cutting edge, you know, the this edge right here on the gray. The white clay is, you know, very thin. It's probably like a 1/16 of an inch, that wall. You don't need much of a wall because you want the silicone to crush out, kind of squish out and get out of the edge of the appliance. Represents the red clay there. And then this is the rubber wall around the upper lip, and I've gaffer taped it, wrapped this rubber wall around it. And you know, I just wanted to show you this. In here, it's, let me get some focus on it. It looks like it's tight against the wall there, but let me lift this. See those little spaces? You have to drop some clay in there and fill these, because if they're not filled, the material that I'll pour in here will pour all over the tabletop. And I'll do that now so you can see that. Okay, so I'm getting her ready to clay up around the inside edge of this mold, and you can see daylight through there. I don't think you, there you go, you can see it's like up in here. But I'm going to put a bead of clay all the way around against this wall because it can move. But you can see daylight right through there. And I'll drop some clay in there and really trowel it against this rubber wall so it's watertight. Okay, so I've, there you go. I've rolled up little bits of clay and I really pressed it into the right up against that rubber wall, and I also went up the side of the rubber wall because there's a seam right there, as you can see up here. And then I'll go in and I'll smooth it out a little bit, but that's, I think that's pretty airtight and safe for pouring in our TC1630 and making our negative, our cast of this upper lip piece. So I'm all prepped and ready to go to start pouring these TC1630 the upper lip and the lower lip here molds. And I put a little plaster Paris bandage around this just as an extra safety precaution, just to hold this rubber wall in place. And I put some around the bottom right onto the tape, this little tabletop, just to make sure, you know, nothing leaks. So we keep our fingers crossed. And the TC1630 was not as difficult to mix because it was only sitting around for like a half a day, so it didn't, nothing settled, and thank goodness for that. So it was pretty easy to just stir mix this, and we're just about ready to go. Weigh it out, and I'll pour the first mold, the upper lip. And here we go. Just brush that in a little bit over the sculpture, over onto the overflow a little bit. for the rest of the pour. Okay. That was about 1,800 grams to fill this mold. I'm going to open the molds, the lip and the upper lip and the lower lip. But before I take them apart and clean them out, I just want to mention that I forgot in the last step that before I poured into this, I used the Johnson paste wax on the keys, those little round little keys, just a little thin on a Q-tip to separate those, and then I sprayed in on both with the Johnson paste wax, but I also sprayed in the epoxy par film, and I let it flash off. I let it kind of dry out, waited like 5 minutes before, let all the gas escape, and then I poured the TC 1630. So I'll open these molds now, and I cut this away, and let me cut this tape. Came apart really nice, and it looks good inside. So that's it. We'll clean this up and be ready for making a silicone. So I've opened the lower lip mold, and it came out pretty good, and it came apart very easily. So I'm just going to show you how I clean off this bad boy a little bit without, hurting the mold. So I'll try to peel off as much of this white clay as I can with my fingers. Get that off. Sometimes you can just roll it off for the most part. But this TC1630 is pretty tough stuff, so you don't have to worry too much. But, I always do. I don't want to lose any of the detail or scratch into the mold. So, always proceed with caution. And then I'll use this stick, this tongue depressor, just to kind of get the stick on the sticky stuff here. And then this NSP clay, this red clay, just kind of work that off with the tongue depressor. Get off as much as I can. And, you want to get all the clay off. You don't want any residual clay to fall into the mold when you're running your silicone into it. You want to get every little bit off. And then I'll do the same with the negative. You can see in there. And I broke these sticks up a little more. And I can go in and just kind of carefully pick out this orange NSP clay, this Chavant. So I'll get all that out. In the meantime, I'll just show you, I take a little 99% alcohol, pour it in here, and then carefully start brushing out this clay with some 99. I guess you can use 70% too, but I cut this brush down a little bit so it's a little firm. And I'm not really digging or scratching. I even put a little gaffer tape around this just in case. I don't want the metal to scrape against the mold and scratch it. So I'll just kind of work this alcohol around and get out all the little residual clay, like so. So the negative is completely clean here, and now I'm going to clean up the positive with the brush and the alcohol. Then when it's clean, we'll close up the mold, and in a future lesson, I'll show you how to run silicone into these molds.